Hello, hello. Today is June 11th, 2024. This is SIG Node weekly meeting. Welcome, everybody. Today we have a few items on agenda, but before we go to agenda, I want to remind everybody that cap freeze is this week. So if you have anything that you've been working on, please make sure that you ping to the right people and people looking at your comments, and yeah, make sure that cap you want is merged. With that, Tim, you have a first item.
This is something that came up when reviewing PR to add a new metric for admission rejections. And so when looking through the code, we were thinking about what the desired behavior was for soft admission failure. And I realized that soft admission rejection is only used by AppArmor. So a bit of background on this. It was added with AppArmor. This is back in Kubernetes 1.4 or something like that. Because we were worried with the rollout that if this is back when AppArmor still required the profiles to already be loaded on the node for the pod to be admitted. And so we ran into some cases where the user would schedule a pod and it would get rejected by the kubelet because the desired profile wasn't running. And then the controllers would kind of hot loop recreating pods and just spam a bunch of pods that couldn't run on the node. And so to prevent the controllers from doing that hot loop, we just put the pod into a blocked state. And so it's that's the soft rejection. So it's the kubelet's not going to run the pod, but it's also not going to mark it as a failure, in which case the controller would recreate it. Actually, let me pull the issue I filed up here. So some problems with this approach. It's only used by AppArmor. So sort of whether or not the feature is desired, I think it should behave consistently. So if we want to kind of keep this approach, probably it should be used by other kind of similar features as well. But I'm not sure that we want to keep the approach because pods held in the blocked state need to be manually cleaned up. And so this might be okay if it's sort of a temporary failure and we expect it to be resolved. But at least in the AppArmor case, it's based on whether it's now based on whether AppArmor is enabled, the kernel module is enabled. And so that's not something that the user is going to just, or that some automatic process is going to flip that over. It's probably, it should really be hard rejected in that case. And there's nothing that's going to clean up the pod while it's in that blocked state. And while it's in that blocked state, it's just sitting there basically taking up node resources because the scheduler sees it as scheduled to that node. So I think it's not a good fit for AppArmor, and I think probably not a good fit for anything, that we should kind of rethink the larger problem of controllers hot looping, recreating pods. There was some feature that Tim Bannister mentioned, pod scheduling context. I haven't had a chance to look into if that's a good fit. But anyhow, my kind of short-term proposal is just that we remove the soft admission feature completely, move the AppArmor admission handler over to the regular list of admission handlers. Any thoughts, concerns, objections to that?
Tim, I remember we removed, simplified the logic to detect whether AppArmor is installed and enabled. I think in the past it was enabled and it's running, services running.
Yeah.
And we removed the services running bit and only kept the validation of enabled. And this enabled is really hard to change unless you, restarting, it should be really hard to do. So was it initially another reason why we had a soft admission when this service, like AppArmor service, can be enabled afterwards and pod can be, do you know?
Yeah, it was a better fit when we were checking those other bits as well, because those are things that might just be synced with like the AppArmor loader daemon set or something, and so you might hit a race condition there. I still think it's probably not the best way of solving that problem in that case.
Okay.
But yeah, it was a better fit in the past.
Tim, my understanding it is another proposal. Maybe that's exactly what the another team mentioned in the bug. It is to do this kind of the admission validation in the pod scheduling context, right? So they have like a generic way for all the academic, all the other, not just AppMama. Yeah. Okay.
That was for the DRA, the classic DRA, I think, and it may not survive. So I'm not sure whether pod scheduling context itself may survive, but we'll have to look closer.
So step back, at least for AppArmor, this is because the only feature, soft admission, is the only used for AppArmor. So are we have any concern to remove that? I don't.
Validation, like with what validation we do today, I have no concerns removing it. It just doesn't make sense. What we have before, it might have made sense, but we removed it. Like it's not there any longer.
Sounds good to me as well.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's all on this topic then.
Okay, next topic is from Philip. Let me know if you want to present.
I think I don't have to. So we had a discussion in SIGOps yesterday about the evacuation API, which is the prerequisite for the node maintenance. And basically the conclusion was that we need to compare the alternatives to the evacuation API and basically get more time for reviews. So it's postponed to the next release. And so this affects also the node maintenance. And we also had some reviews and discussions in the node maintenance cap. And one point of contention was that some people think that it might be better if we offer this as a standalone project and the API as a CRD. So this could be done, but it would eliminate some of the use cases for Node or for Kubelet we have. So these use cases are that first we would like to fix or make better some of the behaviors in the graceful node shutdown, and also to allow for basically specifying better lifecycle or ability to delete the static pods, and also the daemon set pods. So my question is like, what do you think if SIG Node would prefer to have this as a CRD or a core API? And even like if we choose one of these, like what would be the way forward?
I think from day one, okay, first thing I think this is declarative node maintenance is really good thing, and I'm really pro on this one because a lot of use cases I already see over last many years. But from day one, I'm not sure why we need evicted those static pod. You don't need because and even daemon side. I'm not sure why we're using those daemon side. There must be something. Because in my mind, no matter static pod or daemon side, it is responsibility. It is make sure that support those devices attached to the node and doing something like per node work to assist other services and assistant of the application container to run smoothly and make sure everything. So when the node want to be, so you want to evict it, it is the running application containers or pods to the other node, right, before you shut down the node. But for those services, like per node services, no matter static pod and daemon side, and they just should be simply sync the data and killed. They only need to be like make sure we have a proper way to make sure there's no data corruption and to just shut down them, kill them. So I don't have concern about. So this is why I remember there's the first talk to here. I did mention that I'm not understand one of your use cases to you want to evict those daemon side. Evict to what? Because a lot of daemon side is kind of assigned to a node or a set of the node. So that's why so I'm okay with the other suggestion, like out of the tree, or even so all the other things. Yeah.
Thanks, Don. Those are great points. I think one more concern I have here is like when we originally started talking about this one, we said that we also need to fix some of the issues that have come up with graceful node shutdown. Like we are tying it to that. Now, if we move it to out of tree, I don't think kubelet can take dependency on an external optional CRD, right? So it goes back to we have to, are we ready to solve the issues in the controllers directly then, instead of relying on this now?
Okay. Yeah, I forgot about graceful shutdown use cases. Yes. So we do need to take care of graceful shutdown. So,
yeah, we had an option too, right? Where we modify, where we set some condition on the node when we are doing a graceful node shutdown, and the controllers will look at that. That's an option that we need to reopen again if we are talking about a CRD.
Okay. I think the graceful shutdown maybe is a strong cases. We can debate or like discussing with like other. This is a SIG Arch architecture or SIG apps. I didn't capture earlier, Philip. Which
SIG apps.
Okay. Yeah, we can discuss there. Yeah.
But some folks from SIG architecture are also interested in this. So yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
I think we need to help define next steps here.
Yeah. So basically, this like we are not rushing this because the evacuation API will be in the at least in the 132. But it would be good to have a general approach if we are okay with having this in core or as a CRD.
You're saying evacuation API will be in 132. Is there a separate cap that is already approved, or you just thinking it will be there?
I'm thinking, but yeah, we need some additional discussion in SIG apps. But yeah, the cap is like mostly complete. So yeah.
Yeah, I think what I would like to see is how do we unblock graceful node shutdown GA? Like, given that we stopped taking that one forward because we were gonna rely on this one. Not sure where we unblock this. Maybe we raise it in SIG Arch and take it from there.
I still don't understand. I think this is a node maintenance, depending on how you view this node maintenance things. I think maybe originally, Philip, you view this is more like the properly evicted static pod and the daemon side. So this is why this project belongs to the SIG app. I view this as how Node provide declarative maintenance like order, right? So on the node perspective, like a group of the node in the cluster. So then include of the graceful shutdown from node perspective. So the different view. So this is why maybe we are driving about the architecture. So that's kind of the design. So depending on how you are thinking, if you think about this is okay, we need a proper way because I have the daemon side and the daemon side between each other maybe have the dependency to each other. So I'm totally get why SIG app and the SIG architecture, and ask you to introduce your own CRD and driving this out of tree. If from my perspective, SIG Node, I want to have like the some API for a given cluster and properly describe the node eviction order. For example, in the long run, for the multiple hosting inference jobs, and if the cluster have those kind of jobs, those node definitely have to upgrade or update or whatever things as a group. Dynamic resource allocator, all those are assigned along. So from that perspective, I need to have the proper node level API published to the platform administrator, or it is some up layer automation to integrate with this one. So it's different perspective. In that cases, then I can argue maybe I don't need maybe also CRD still, but it's kind of like literally from the node built in and to properly support the DRA and other along of those like the multiple host AI machine learning work. So it's more properly. So I'm not sure you get what I say, right? So because I do remember when you first came here, I love this proposal, but you did mention your only use cases at that time is more like the daemon side. So that's naturally, you can say that. Which
like
use cases is the top use cases we think about?
So like there was no single like story that this was pursuing. This was like taking all the issues together and trying to come up with an approach that would solve most of these. So like the API, as you said, like it's also meant as like a general interface that people can interface with to see if there is the node maintenance, if the node is in a different state. And also like one of the use cases is that like today, like we have like many like projects that are doing node drain are having like similar logic for draining the nodes. So they usually also have like a step where they are draining the daemon sets. So like people are relying on this feature today that some of the drainers, they first drain the normal pods applications and they drain the daemon sets. I think for this, like the daemon set story is more important than the static one because the static pods are like they were like nobody ever has had this feature, so that's more on a sideline. Yeah.
Okay. So at least I think this should be infrastructure abstraction and the cluster abstraction, cluster level abstraction. So okay. Yeah, I'm okay to punt to next release, but we need to continue this one.
Yeah, so I think if like we don't have a consensus, I could like continue the discussions with the SIG architecture and also maybe brings this topic to some of their meetings and like we can proceed further once. I will also discuss the evacuation API on the side. I think I could have a consensus from SIG apps soon, like before the 132. So we would know that they are okay with pursuing that. And then we can start the discussions with SIG architecture again.
Yeah, okay, thank you. I think we have next steps. And I also want to say that in general, declarative maintenance is a very interesting topic. It just it's very complex, and we need to having yet another way that is incomplete is not a good for a project at all. So we need to think really carefully.
But can you capture what the more detail about the SIG app? What's the concern? What's the rationale? I only see the decision. I don't see any rationale.
So first, like that, there is the main use case for SIG apps is in the evacuation point, evacuation API topic, where today there is not a great way to disrupt workloads today. Like we have the disruption badges and eviction endpoint, but these have big problems. Like one of the problems is that the eviction is synchronous. So if there are some other actors in the cluster that would like to intercept this, it's not possible. So that's one point. And then the pod disruption budgets, for example, do not support like the one replica applications, and like there are like other like disruption scenarios. So that's the main point from SIG apps.
Can you capture this one in the issue so we can in the cap, and so I can take a look, and then we can drive from there, and yeah, we can see how to find the best middle ground between.
Yeah, you mean in which one? Which cap?
The
null maintenance or the evacuation one?
The maintenance one.
Yeah. So like this was more for the evacuation side. The normal node maintenance one but I can capture like the main points, or I guess I will write an email also to SIG architecture. Maybe can explain it there, and then we can switch the discussions to their side, because they are interested in how we will solve this.
Okay, so thanks. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, I'm muting myself. Sotiris, you have next topic?
Yes, Sergey, can I share my screen?
Now you should be able to.
Okay, thanks. So yes, so here is an update about this PR, the static CPU management policy, alongside in-place pod vertical scaling. So a quick background, it's now on February, it was first committed. It was discussed, and after a couple of rounds of review in one SIG Node meeting, we decided that we need to have unit and end-to-end tests. So for the end-to-end tests, the existing end-to-end tests are not adequate for testing the combination of CPU manager and in-place pod vertical scaling. So for this reason, it was decided, and we created the end-to-end node tests PR, which it's ready for review now. I got some very good comments from a team. Thanks for that. And the unit tests for this feature, and also testing CPU manager with in-place pod vertical scaling, which was not there. It's also included in the original PR. So I'm raising this today because I have two questions. The first is how should we be the next steps? So is it allowed to merge, if of course the community approves the feature, only with the unit tests? or we need first to have also end-to-end underscore node tests, and then which means that we need first to merge the existing end-to-end node that we created. But then my question then is, okay, now we have the test and I can confirm and I'm testing it with my VM and my setup, but the question is, we need a pipeline, I assume. So here is also the question, how usually we should proceed. Should we merge it without a pipeline? Is this SIG node responsible to raise this? Or somehow I need to involve SIG testing to create a pipeline in order to test end-to-end node tests. So,
Yeah, you can join tomorrow's meeting as well. We discussing test questions there, but short answer is test infra repository contains all the pipelines that we have. And typically what you have, like we already have few pipelines for E2E underscore node. And if your test fails under one of the pipelines, it will just run automatically with this pipeline. If you need separate one with separate definition, you will end up creating new ones. You can look up a couple examples, like quite recently we had like a standalone kubelet test pipeline introduced. So we introduced two different pipelines, one for CI and one for a regular. It's different definition. So you can do the same. You can have one for CI and this can be used in testing your PR. And then second one is for a regular that you can add later. Yeah, Tim?
Is the issue here that since this feature is still in alpha, that you need a new pipeline to enable the feature gate? Or is there something else that you need a new pipeline
as
for?
it is today, I mean, even the alpha tests, they are using the end-to-end only tests, which don't, it's not possible to test the CPU manager alongside. So
Yeah, another example we did it for sidecars. Like we had an alpha feature and we had separate work streams, like pipelines for that, and then we merged them. I can try to find a link.
okay, so this handles this with the pipelines. Now regarding the feature, I mean, this which solves the bug actually. I mean, are the unit tests sufficient, which already are being tested, to merge it? Because this will make easier my life as well, because then when this is merged, I can add the additional test if the feature above is already merged. So is the unit test sufficient, at least to be merged and then to unlock it?
Sergey, did we retire all the E2E node test? We
No,
we
we have a lot
supposed
of
we do, right? So this is why I feel like this is why why we need to create of the separate pipeline.
Because yes, that's a very good question. Because today there is no end-to-end underscore node. This has been created with this PR, so it was never existed. So so the end-to-end underscore node, it has been created with this opportunity. So,
But
yes.
What exactly is being created? Because we do have the
We do.
end-to-end.
Yes, we have it, but it is not possible to test the CPU manager. I explain it in the commit.
I need to read it again because we do have end-to-end test for CPU manager. Maybe you meaning I need to read. I need to read that. Maybe you mean in conjunction.
Alongside in-place pod vertical scaling. This
Oh
is
yeah. Then you're right. Yes. By the way, we can add new pipelines for alpha features, but we don't need them. You can enable feature gates in end-to-end node tests. I'm not saying adding a new pipeline is a wrong idea. Probably is a good idea, but I'm just saying it is possible to enable alpha feature gates. But I will read and get the context. I really.
Yes.
And I posted an example of what we did in sidecars. We created a separate job, and this job is like it has a prefix PR, meaning that it will run on CI, so you can run it on your PR in KK. So that should be very helpful for your case.
Okay, thanks.
I just
will
hope
take
this just reuse of the our node E2E test, and there's the pipeline for the CPU management, and just this is part of that. So when there's the issue, and we can review. Even there's no issue, we can review, right? So sometimes the test driving development actually is super helpful, and the group of those relevant of the test together also for the new people pick up, ramp up also is useful. So this is why, yeah, we already in a long time we built this E2E, particularly node E2E, particularly to remove some of the other dependencies. So then we can at least, even there still have the other dependency, but we are at least can focus on the node feature, node only features. This kind of we are doing that long time when the first start Kubernetes. Yeah.
You are referring to the E2E underscore node, correct?
Yes, node E2E, exactly. There's no more than one node to run the job and no scheduling. Basically, you only have the API server at CD and then that running node. So that can focus, that particularly we design that and spend the time and design that for node feature. And one of the facts, it is majority of today's Kubernetes conform tests came from the node E2E. We build all those tests, and then the later conform test effort to just take over those tests, become to the conform test. So, but then that for CPU memory test and even disk stress test, because it's really could be sometimes destroyed node. So that's all goes to, we found day one. It's not a part of the conformance, but all goes to the node E2E. So this is why I only ask, because your question is confused me. I thought we retire all the node E2E test.
My comment was for this, the introduction of the pod resize in the E2E node, since now it's being introduced. I mean, I had a missing what is the next steps to become a pipeline. So I think I got some answers. I would appreciate if you can check a little bit these two commits and to see what is the best way forward to ensure that we deliver and we test accordingly. So thanks for your response. Back to you, Sergey.
Yeah, I just wanted to add, it's a busy week with PRR and KEP freeze, but I'll work with you to get those two PRs reviewed in the next couple weeks.
Thank you very much, Tim. Thank you.
Peter?
Hello. Did we do the eviction manager piece?
Oh, sorry, I skipped
Yeah.
sorry about it. Yeah, I have
Yeah, so hi folks. So I have two issues to discuss. So the first one is regarding the eviction manager issue. Like when under disk pressure, the eviction manager doesn't check the disk usage of the dead containers. We propose that when evicting the pods, when the disk pressure came, the disk usage of the dead containers and living containers both should be taken into the account when eviction rank is created. So earlier also we have discussed this issue in the meeting. Last meeting, I remember iHolder volunteered to take a look into this issue. Also, he found some observation and he commented on the issue. So he observed that when converting and reformatting the stats information, the terminated pods and containers are filtered out before. So he suggested a fix also for that. Like if we could do some change in the order, then it might fix this. So unfortunately, iHolder couldn't join the meeting. He could be able to explain more on this, but I would like to know the community point of view of the high holders approach. Like if we can go with that direction. Uh, so what are the thoughts on this? I would like to know.
if we don't have I think we'll need details, right, of what the proposed fix is. And I think last time, if I remember correctly, we had discussed that we keep around, there is a
Yeah.
setting for retaining at least one older container by default. So what are we
Yeah.
proposing we clean up? Because we still need the exit status and the termination message to debug crash loops. So just changing the order and getting rid of the dead container may not be enough because there's this other setting to worry about.
No, we are not getting rid. No, we are not
Okay.
getting rid of the containers. Like the containers are filtered out and then are taken into the account, as the I holder says. So we are just taking into the account before the filtering out the dead containers. Means like when
Okay.
when the pods are evicting, so the uh, disk usage of the dead containers is also accounted. So that
Okay.
I
yeah.
think that's right. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Here's the. I think this is the. Oh, there's the explain to the in details. Yeah.
The only question is whether it's a cap forcing
Yeah.
or it's just a bug fixing perspective.
Yeah, my question is like if the eye holders approach is right or not. Like if it has like if we see this as this may be caused by other issue or this is the actual cause, like what eye holder said.
I think this is need some like the experimental testing. Right? But it looks like his hypothesis is correct to me. Yeah, but we need run some experimental.
In worst case scenario, we will evict in different order.
I have stated like the example in the issue itself, like what we are proposing and what is the actual issue, like by applying the two pods and applying the living containers and dead containers. So if we could have a look at the issue. So
Yeah, I think what happened right now is everybody's struggling to
yeah,
say yes because it's unclear what side effects we will get, and cap is the easiest way to list all the side effects and get as many eyes as possible to the cap. From my perspective, the problem with the cap will be pretty much the same as with bug fix. Like we have a limited time, and we'll have limited time to review this cap, so we can waste more time than we can have here. So one alternative will be to implement this feature under feature flag, but without the cap. This way you can disable this behavior if it causes a problem, but later you can just remove the feature gate if needed. We do it for some bug fixes if needed in certain cases.
okay.
Do you want to postpone and get it into cap, or you want to have a bug fix, or you want to bug fix under feature flag?
I think bug fix would be fine. Like if we can see this as a bug and go with the bug fix approach. Or I have opened a cap also earlier. Uh,
Maybe we
regarding
start. Maybe we start with a pull request with a bug fix. Then we can evaluate whether we need to add a feature gate or something. I feel a cap may be too heavy. So maybe we
okay,
start with a fix, we do a thorough review and then decide if it needs to be gated or if
okay,
there are chances of any regressions.
okay.
I hope we spend more time for create of simulate test scenario. If I review that fix for this bug, I will look at all the test cases, how you simulate this.
Okay. Yeah, so means like we can go for the fix and then the community can review the fix like this you are telling.
Yeah,
Okay,
what
we
we
can do
understand
that.
is make sure that test cases are
Yeah.
exhaustive. So like you have enough test cases showing what can go wrong.
Okay. 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 Fine. So that.
Thanks.
Okay. So the second, I have also one issue also, like you can see the default related to the eviction parameter. So this is the second issue. So currently the behavior, you must all know that the default parameters of eviction hard, like if we change any one of the parameters, then other parameters are set to 0. So this is the default behavior, we know. So I have investigated and asked earlier also, but couldn't find some test case or anywhere that why does the parameters are set to 0. Like we don't know, like if there is any use case for this.
I think it's actually based on the kubelet serializing of the object. So if you just define, like, imagine you create a structure and you just define one of the fields in that structure. The way that we're serializing the JSON, it's just they're all going to be 0 values. And then the kubelet's going to not tell the difference between whether they are empty values or actually like an initial, should be the default or specifically being asked to be 0. And as a result, it just, assumes the latter and it just sets it to 0.
Okay. So like we have something.
So what you maybe want to look at is drop-in configuration. In cap of drop-in configuration, we extensively discussed how to merge lists and specifically like eviction thresholds. Like I think there is a explanation how eviction threshold will be merged between drop-in configurations. So if you have more than one config file, how we'll merge them all together. And by the way, I remember discussing in lengths and in depth, but then I forgot completely what's the outcome.
I'm pretty sure you have to basically specify all the fields that you want. I'm pretty sure, because that's just like, fundamentally, it's hard to tell whether struct fields are left unchanged or are left specifically at 0. And I think that that's just what we're going to run into. We didn't change, like, when we added drop-in config support, the handling of these struct fields. We just, made it happen multiple times. So I don't think that will fix this.
Okay. So we don't need to like we propose the change, like if we are changing any one of the parameters, then the other parameter should inherit their default values. Like we propose this. So
I guess the question is a 0 value for these fields a valid value? Is there a user that would want to have image of SDOT available at 0%? I need to sort of think deeper about that, because if that is a valid option, then I don't know if we can change this behavior. If it's not a valid option, then it's pretty easy, because at the end of the kubelet's configuration reconciliation process, we just check if any of the values are 0 and then set them to their default that they are. But if 0 is actually a valid value, then I don't know if we can do anything about it. I think we'd have to rely on the user to specify all the default values. Yeah, all the values, exactly, if they're defining any of them.
So so that's what I was 0 is the valid value or not? What do you think it is?
I have to sort of think deeper about it. I can't answer that right now, unless someone else might be able to, but I need to sort of look deeper into what each of these mean and see if 0 could be a meaningful value.
Okay.
So I'll assign myself on the bug and comment there, and then we can chat about it there.
Special pending of 0 value. So I think we may have a logic that treats 0 differently, like a disable or something.
Right, exactly. So I have to dig through the code and see what 0 means, and because they're each different values. They're each different. Some of them are even different types of variables. So it could vary, and we may need to not do anything here. But I will double check and then get back to you on the bug, and then we can talk about it more in depth and have a follow-up if we need to.
Yeah, sure. So we can work on this. Yeah. So
Yeah,
thanks.
I'll take a look.
Okay. Thanks. So that's all. Thank you again.
And Peter, you can just continue talking.
Yep, next one's me. And this also on the sort of conversation of worthy of KEP. The folks at SIG Windows have submitted a PR. Cortana is leading this to add CPU manager support to Windows. And I think it seems like their temptation is to not have it be a KEP, and I am personally fine with that. I just like my KEP senses started tingling, and I'm wondering if maybe that this is a change that would be appropriate of a KEP. For instance, I'm pretty sure it does rely on, Containerd fulfilling these fields, and I don't know if it's going to out of the box immediately. So, there's a CRI change, and that sort of to me indicates KEP. So I just wanted to
I think
broadcast this here.
Other question that comes to mind here is like on the Linux side, don't we do it directly from the kubelet? Like we don't pass these values down, right? So the implementation is going to differ. Do we want to unify the implementation across Linux and Windows?
So they are, the implementation is going to, this is one piece of it. If you look, there's a comment from James where he basically spoofs out the changes to the CPU manager, and it's largely just plumbing the pieces through. So the kubelet is going to be responsible for doing it. It just needs to, like, the first step was to add the CRI changes, and then the plan was to follow up with like actually adding support.
I look at that change, and it is a little bit, if we ask KEP for that small change, maybe it's too much. But on other hand, I realize a lot of, in the past, a lot of resource management on Windows is piggyback on the Linux one, and which has caused a lot of trouble for user to support the Windows node. Because the actual implementation is, there's the discrepancies, not always is on the, at the earlier time we did pay extra attention on the Windows to say, oh, what it is that mean, what's the, how we measure, what's the difference we measure CPU usage, all those kind of things, right? So because all is different. But then later is kind of slowly piggyback, but I do see the problem. People started to have this, don't understand those feature, what the mean is for Windows. I'm not sure, should we take this chance to fix this problem and start from the first KEP, and they can evolve? And because how to help those tech writer to update, right? So for how node support Windows container, Windows node to support those resources. Actually, we need something, and I feel we don't have those things. But I do see that because in the past, much more complicated PR to handle Windows, we didn't ask for KEP, but this one is pretty straightforward. And we ask KEP, but even recently, people ask me, like the one users say, oh, they don't know how we magically make like the Windows node as the black box, as the SIG node, enable a lot of the features for the Windows node. I would just think about should we change this one? Start from the KEP?
Yeah, it'll be good to capture how it works, right? Maybe, I don't even know. I don't think we have a KEP for CPU manager, or do we have one? I don't remember. Maybe a section could be added for the Windows implementation if we have.
We did have one at the earlier, one of those CPU management. I forgot exactly. Definitely it's not the first one. So we did have the one because that time we tried to, before for Windows GA, we did for this because that's kind of a blocker for Windows GA. So then there's some, but But after that, I never saw that. Always it's just piggyback with the existing Linux related cap. So we don't have formal CPU memory, any resource management. I don't think we have formal. We only have a little bit formal one for the monitoring part.
Yeah, so I see like Francesco pasted a link to the CPU manager tab. So maybe we just ask for a section on the Windows implementation here. But again, like this is a GA tab, right? So yeah, we are just adding more details there, I guess.
I think that adding the section to the GA cap will be okay. I mean, GA doesn't mean frozen,
right.
does it? Exactly.
Yeah.
We just because this is our signal, our fault, at least my fault, and it didn't spot until recently. People ask me, saying like the treat like a little bit like a black box, and I realized maybe we should fix this problem, retrofit, right? So some missing information. And I was just think about should we ask from this one, like how on the Windows we management CPU. The next time we have memory, we can ask how we manage memory and the other resource on the Windows. So community can slowly get those information.
Yeah. So sounds good. I think like only question will be like how will the KEP process work? Like we won't have milestones or anything, right? We'll just require an update to it if we agree on the implementation details.
Yeah, we can direct go to GA, right? If that's the okay, right?
Yeah.
Don't need order thing. Yeah.
And I guess the other question is this PR then going to be blocked on the KEP, the retroactive KEP and the sort of consensus around the approach?
It makes sense to get that merged, and we can kind of prioritize if someone is willing to write that up, we can prioritize reviewing it and getting it merged. Yeah, we have like 3 days left.
Cool. All right, I will reach out and mention that we'll ask for a retroactive KEP and hope to get it. I also think I don't know, since some of the work has already been done, I don't even know if we necessarily have to conform to the KEP process. It's not like we're initializing a KEP or moving it through a stage. We're just it's almost like adding retroactively what has been already done to a different KEP. We've done this in KEPs outside of the process, so I think that we don't necessarily need to have it merge in 3 days.
We also can, as the SIG Node, we also can help them if needed, exceptional, right? So whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
For us,
right.
For the community, for the so then we have the data, we have the document and the content and move forward.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't need to merge by the deadline. I mean, we just need to agree on the design, and then we can get it.
Yeah, totally. Sounds good. I will relay that. That's good there. Harshal, do you want to try to squeeze your thing in?
Let's see. Yeah, I just have 1 minute. Let me quickly go. So we got a bug where, when the pod is getting created, sometimes the secrets that are not placed on the node. And that happens when you, let's say, change a secret, or you just added a secret to pod, you updated the pod, and you're trying to create. Usually it works because we use this watch strategy to fetching the secrets, and that lowers the load on API server, and it works fine. Except in case of this bug, and as well as I've seen this internally, that sometimes the pod creation starts, and the necessary updates to the volume manager or config map or secret have not propagated it the node, and in that case it fails. So this PR raised by the bug report is a very clever take on it. So if you go to the change files, they, instead of having one secret strategy, they have 2 secret strategy. And when the pod is getting created, they use the get secret strategy. That means no matter what, they're not going to look at the cache. They're going to go to straight API server and get the latest copy of the secret. But every other case, they will use the whatever the secret strategy defined in kubelet, which happens to be most of the time what strategy. So I just wanted to know if the community is fine with this approach. It looks fine to me, but I'm not sure whether I'm overlooking anything that might create problem later down the road. So if you have some time, please review this PR and see if this doesn't create more problems than it solves.
Yeah, we are at time, so I think the action item here is whoever interested, please take a look. Yeah, as always, like all the increase load on API server may be a problem. Anyway, thank you everybody. We're at the end of the hour. See you somebody next tomorrow, somebody next week. Bye.
Right. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.